What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday, December the 12th. I have a lot of names to rip through today. Let's just take a quick look at the list. There's like 20 names or so. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as possible so I don't keep you here for the entire night. Lots of names, lots of beautiful setups. Let's see. I'm going to go through and see what we have for the economic calendar. I know it's a busy week this week. Shout out Tommy for posting it right there on the trade floor. So we have Oracle earnings on Monday, nothing crazy. Although there might be some tech, some implications with tech this week with Oracle earnings. So that might be one to watch after market close. Tuesday morning we have CPI. Wednesday morning we have PPI. Usually very, very strong moves come out of the reports. So something to keep in mind. Let's see. And then on Wednesday in the afternoon, we have an FOMC rate hike. So, whether it's going to be positive, whether it's going to be lower than usual, lower than expected, or even negative. Now, I think I saw something about Jay Powell talking about they're going to decrease interest rates in 2024. So that's good for us in 2024. It's good for home buyers. It's good for auto buyers. It's good for people who want to refinance, right? It's good for, it's not really great for savings accounts, but it's good for borrowers. But that being said, I think that this might be an actual last hike, an actual increase that they announce on Wednesday before they start doing all the, the slow decreases coming up next year, which is bullish. It's great for the market. Not necessarily great for lenders and stuff like that, but it's really, really good. It shows health. The fact that they're sticking to their, they don't have to pivot from their plan too much. This is all in the plan, so it's good. So we'll see what happens. And then 2:30 we have a Jay Powell speech, which means we might have a little bit of a volatile afternoon on Wednesday. Then Thursday we have retail sales jobless claims. So pretty decent, busy week in terms of the economic calendar. Now looking at earnings, I don't know. Let's see. I don't have an updated earnings calendar, but we do have Oracle, we do have Adobe, so that much we know. If there's any other names that are reporting this week that you guys know or are watching, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But with that being said, let me go ahead and get started on our list for this week. So here's ES. Again, I usually start with broad market. ES right now is currently setting up an inside bar at the top end of Friday's candlestick. We did have a nice consolidation last week with a gap up into Friday, and then right now we're kind of holding that level. This can easily shake out to come back to retest some of these lows, either the open or the low of the day, or it can rip through, right? So there's really no way of knowing until markets are actually open, unless some bad news comes out overnight. But for now, we're in a good range. At least we're not way down here, right? And we're not way up here. We're not forming any gaps is the most important part in ES. So ES looks very, very healthy. It did broaden down, right? It did create, retest some previous range to the downside. Let me go ahead and draw another one right here. It did, broaden its way down and work its way into some previous range back here. It actually fell into previous level of volume concentration over here, and then it kind of bounced out of that level, broke through the broadening, strong move on this candlestick here, and then worked its way slowly up into a consolidation before it continued to move to the upside. So healthy, strong, right? There's still plenty of highs to explore on this, but we are just above the previous pivot here of last year, March. So that's a very important spot because this is around quad witching time. If we can maintain some of these levels here, especially with all the news coming out this week, then that puts us in a really good spot to try to retest all-time high back in January of 2022, right? So not a bad spot. Let's look at the next one I have, I believe, is just SPX, which is just a mirror of ES for the most part. ES actually broke above the previous pivot and is holding above the previous pivot. The one here, the local one here in July, and the one of last year in March. SPX is right behind it, so it won't be fully confirmed until SPX fully breaks through that 46.37. Once it's above that 46.37, I think there's some strength. And as you can see, I got a measured move from the low of May 24th to the high of July 27th. and then I got the fib, my fib levels where we kind of played around with. But the end of that move puts us at 49.17. So that's 49.17. Maybe July, August of next year, maybe sooner. It really depends on what happens with in the economy and with the Fed and overall with big names, Apple, Microsoft, Google, etc. But we want to see this trading at 46.37. I think we broke above this high here, 46.07. We broke above this high here by $2 by 2 points. And so if we maintain this level here, we can easily get to that 46.37. That's like a one day move, right? Otherwise, if we fail, we have the 20 day that we're going to work our way back down to. We haven't tested that 20 day for quite some time. The last time we touched it was back in the beginning of November. So I would like to interact with that 20 day for for it to kind of not be too extended, for it to show some support, and for the stock price to really be supported by not only the price but the moving averages. So we'll see either way. QQQ is next. QQQ is very, very close to previous highs, all-time highs rather. It's above the pivot here, and it looks like it might be. Yep, it's above this pivot here in end of January or middle of January. So we're actually not too far off from all-time high on QQQ. So you want to see a continuation. QQQ fell back into the 20-day moving average and traded alongside of it for pretty much like three or 4 days, depending on whether you count Thursday. And we've been making higher highs, pretty much higher highs and higher lows all week. Last week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And now we just have to break through this pivot of the previous week. And then from there, we can work our way into 400, and then from there, 405, right? So 400 and 405 are going to be a target for QQQ to the upside for this week and next week. 400 and 405. Well, I'll just put it right here. And I wouldn't count. I wouldn't really go short on this just because the 20 days right here, but also you have all the buying pressure from all these previous days that can easily reactivate a bullish move. So, I wouldn't really play this short this week unless, one of these companies, maybe Oracle reports negatively or Adobe reports negatively, or they say something about the industry itself, which might negatively affect one of the bigger names, which will negatively affect QQQ as a whole. So besides that, I really wouldn't go short. This setup is beautiful. Right, we had that kind of rising support line here, broke down, found support on the 20-day moving average, and now we just got to retest this pivot here. I think this is primed to move to the upside easily to 400. Let's look at what is this? This is XLE. Energy's been showing weakness. It's been fighting this 200-day moving average a bunch and couldn't get above it last week. It was looking good last Friday, but then on Monday it kind of fought it and lost. And then Tuesday, it fell hard out of that 200-day moving average. Now, we did find a little bit of support here. I really wouldn't play this underneath the 200-day moving average unless it's working its way strongly down. We have a bunch of support here that we can retest down here at 78-ish, 70, 79. So, maybe there's a potential short play there, especially with this inside bar that formed on Friday, right? So, obviously, break above high, test previous highs, break below the low, test this low here, and then underneath this low at the low of 81.06, we can really go down to 80 and then 79 pretty quickly. So I'm actually going to go ahead and set an alert for this level here. I think that the way that XLE and SPY are set up, it looks like SPY is very, very bullish and XLE is not so bullish. So any weakness in SPY will break down XLE pretty hard. So I'm just going to go ahead and set my alert there. Some of those names are XOM, Oxy, NEE. Depends on what you like. Oxy and XOM typically pay a lot and are very volatile, so I like to chase those as well. Next one is XLF. XLF has been showing absolute strength ever since it kind of broke down under this wedge, retested it, came back, bounced back into the wedge. That's absolutely bullish. Absolutely bullish. And you see we had the head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders that kind of played out, and it's just surpassed, right? And now we're currently wedging, or rather we're channeling within these two levels at 36.21 and 35.78. At 35.78 is holding support for now. And so, we came down, we couldn't break the support. We retested on Thursday. Friday broke above the previous day's high. These two candlesticks are still within this price, but these three candlesticks right here are a nice bullish candlestick pattern if you play the strat, right? You got the strong bar, we got the breakdown bar, outside bar, inside up, So there's a nice potential for continuation to the upside. I got 36.44 previous target, and I got 36.77 and then $37.11 as the upside targets for XLF. And these are some previous targets here that, this is not like me pulling it out of my ass. This is just revisiting old price, as price always does. So very, very prime for the upside. Nice bull flag. Nothing better to say. Not much better setups in the market than what we have currently with XLF. All right, let's look at some of our equities names. And I'm going to rip through this as quickly as possible once more. So the first one that we have here is TSM. TSM is, so kind of, just brief history, it kind of fell hard, bunch of gaps, nice ripping move, came back to 200-day, lost the 200-day over here in this area, but fought to get right back underneath it, again, back underneath it, formed that double bottom. Now we got kind of a bull flag going here. Fell into the 20-day moving average, painted a nice doji on that 20-day. Look at this doji, this is beautiful. Which means, for those who are unversed, people on the internet, on YouTube, we got a price that opened up, fell hard, buyers brought it right back up, and then sellers closed it pretty much right at the open. So nice flat day. Inside bar, and then we broke the range of both of these candlesticks to the upside, and then continued to trade to the upside, right? TSM paid us out last week, and I hope that continues to pay us, especially with this kind of broadening down, broadening up kind of vibe that we got going on here, right? This is what we got to the downside. And so I'm hoping that TSM keeps the same energy. Really, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to go ahead and paint that line there, $100.70, which is where the green line is. If we go broadening up, this can easily get very messy, right? But broadening up will put us smash that right around there. So it can easily get to like $104 once this move is over. If this is in case, in fact, the broadening formation that's forming on TSM. So, for me, I just want to see it trade above that $100.70 mark. From there, we get 101.76, then we got 103, then we got 104 for TSM. If we do fail and break down below the low of day, I would retest the previous low of day, but we got that 20-day moving average that can really attract some buyers, as you can see on this day, right? So I wouldn't really, I'm not interested in going short on this. Is the end all be all for that. Next one is Amazon. Amazon isn't my favorite chart. It looks really bad, to be honest with you. It looks really, really ugly. However, we do have that upside move, little pullback, continuation, made a new high, came back and made a higher low. So now, and then we held this 20-day pretty much all week. We traded along this 20-day. It looks like we formed an inside bar. Is that right? Let me see. Low 145.34. Okay, so we are currently inside the range of yesterday's price, or Thursday's price rather. And then all three of these days are within the range of Tuesday's price. So I think that any good news in the market, or maybe some like reports of Prime Day or something like that, or just any kind of piece of news that might come out, will, something like this, for example, where it says Amazon is closing out a stellar year. Is it too late to invest in Amazon stock for 2024? That's the kind of news you want to see that can easily break this wedge and rip this to the upside. Let me go ahead and reposition this, right? Very, very nice wedge. Came back and made a higher low, right? Maintained the trend. And now we can really work our way into some of these levels at 150.56, 153.98, 157.39, which is what I'll be looking at for this week. And then if we break down underneath that 20-day moving average, I would watch out for all the buyers that are sitting at the bottom of these candlesticks. Underneath this candlestick, we got a little bit of support at 140, 145. Underneath that, we can probably test the 50-day, but right now, I'm not looking to short this at all. Next one is DKS. DKS is finally filling this gap, right? As we've been waiting for quite some time. And right now, it's just painting a very beautiful bull flag here. And for people who don't like patterns, the bull flag is basically the reason why it's bullish is because price moves in this type of fashion. It moves in waves, right? It moves up, down, comes back, up, down, retest, comes back, new high, new low, or then it might flip back and kind of retest some of those previous lows and I turn them as support. And this is just ways for people to identify where price might potentially visit. And that's the way that price acts. Look at it here. You got the low, high, low, high, low. That's just the way price moves. So that being said, price has ripped and made a new high, and now on its sell cycle, it's pulled back, but it hasn't pulled back to retrace a lot of this move, right? Look at how strong this move is, and price is way up here on its sell cycle, right? So we formed the inside bar Friday into Thursday's candlestick. If we get some buyers involved, this can easily paint a continuation of this strong move here into the following week. Let's look at this on the weekly real quick, actually. Yeah, I mean, this is just strong moves to the upside. Resting bar, potential continuation. And, the resting bar comes out of a little bit of supply. There's supply up here because look at this massive move to the downside, right? Strong move to the downside, which means there's a bunch of sellers sitting in this area up here. So this is to be expected, right? But with some good news, especially since we're in DKS seasonality, there's a potential for this to really rip into the $150 level. And then above, right, if it can maintain that $150 level. So I'll be watching DKS very closely. You guys know this is one of my favorite tickers to trade for the most part. So I'll obviously keep an eye on it. Otherwise, if it does break down underneath this flag, I would want to retest this high here at 133.60, and I would want to retest the open at 129.75, right where the 200-day moving average is. So you can pretty much short this down to the 200-day moving average. It's a good setup for a short play, to be honest with you. Let me set it up for you. Maybe if it breaks down below Tuesday's price, you could set your stop on Tuesday's high and set your target to that 200-day moving average. And you got a nice 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, right? Nothing crazy, but 2-to-1, not bad. And then obviously as price progresses down, you bring your stops down, and then it becomes 3-to-1, or you could just set your stop to the high of Friday, and that's a 3.3-to-1 right away. And then obviously you set it lower and lower, and your risk reward gets better. So it's a pretty good setup. If you wanted to play the long, you go ahead and take your entry at, it depends on where you want to take it. I would probably take the risky entry with time at the high of day, and I would set my stop right at the low of day. And I will go ahead and set this to right where the doji is, right where this doji opens and closes. And that gives me a nice 3.69 to 1 risk reward ratio. And that would be like maybe a 2-week play or something like that. Now, if you're playing weeklies, then maybe you want to just come back to right here, right to the high, the top of the pendant right there. And then you want to set this a little bit higher, 2.2-to-1, a little bit better, right? You can set it even higher. It gives you 5-to-1. It really depends, And then on the 15-minute, it looks kind of crazy there, but on a 15-minute, it might make a little bit more sense, right? Like it's easy to just watch it here and you see the price breaking down, maybe below this volume. Maybe you want to keep this level of volume here as your stop, which will still give you a pretty decent risk reward ratio. Where's a good level? Right? It gives you a pretty decent risk reward ratio. Even this is still 3-to-1. So I like it. I like it to the upside. It has a good setup to the downside as well if you want to take it. Again, this is not one that I want to short, not into its seasonality. The next one is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is another one that's very, very ugly on multiple time frames. There's no good looking time frame on this. Maybe the quarter. Maybe the quarter. Yeah, the quarter is probably the best looking one. We got strong moves to the upside, nice healthy pullback, buyer stepping in, ripped it right back to the upside, nice resting bar, potential continuation for this quarter. In this quarter we would have about 2 months or 1 month left. So, we can revisit this $500 mark, and then from there work our way up to 527. But the reason why I like NVIDIA today is because it traded alongside, it retested this level here at 400 and what level is this? $408. It retested it a bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couldn't break it, right? Then it came out and it took out this pivot right here, and it took out this pivot right here. Very briefly, but it took out this whole area right here and pulled back, made a higher low, sitting on the 50-day, sitting on the 100-day. Then we got Monday's candlestick, which shows buyers are supporting it when it was a red day. Tuesday broke above Monday's high. Wednesday gapped up, pulled back, found support. Thursday climbed. Friday continuation move, made a new high of the week. So to me, that's just very bullish. Also, we're breaking down above this local falling resistance line here, right? So to me, just a show of strength. I think that 500 is in the books for NVIDIA for this next couple of weeks. Maybe even this week. What do we have going on for them in the calendar? Big pension exits Palantir stake, sold AT&T, bought Intel and Nvidia. Something about a $1 trillion company. Small cap is ready to shine. I mean, whatever. I think that Nvidia is ready to shine right now. There's also some sort of like cup and handle vibe going on over here, where we got that very small retracement with a strong move brewing out of this consolidation here, 5-day consolidation or 6-day consolidation. So I like it for this week. I think it's going to be a major one. Next one is Boeing. Boeing paid us last week, and I think it'll continue to pay us. Boeing just put in a strong move, broke above this previous pivot here. You draw some of these pivots. Broke above that one. Next up, we got this one here, and then we got. I'm gonna go ahead and put it. Oh, I don't want it. Put it there. So 250 is up next for Boeing. You know, very, very simple. I think that Boeing benefited from this consolidation. Strong move up. A bunch of sellers sitting here brought it way back down, broke this support, and then buyers are still interested in it underneath the support. So we formed a nice little spring right here, right? Break a support, strong move up to form a spring. You know, it's even on the daily, it's healthy because it's like strong move up, healthy pullback, strong move up, healthy pullback, strong move up, healthy pullback, strong move up. I wanted to pull back and hold the range of Friday's candlestick, you know, or at the very least hold some of this level where it was previously confused. Look at all this consolidation over here. Look at all these dojis and all this sell pressure up here, right? So at the very least, even if it pulls back pretty deeply, we wanted to hold this box, anywhere in this box, and I'm still buying it. And then maybe that's healthy enough for it to come and let the 20-day act as a support. So I like Boeing for a continuation this week. I like it for a continuation this week, especially out of this strong move up, strong move down, continuation move up. It's very clear to me this is going back to retest 250 and then maybe even 255 this week. The next one is Coinbase. And the daily Coinbase. Let's look at the weekly real quick. So Coinbase, nice flat base, retested a bunch of the support a bunch, traded on the support a bunch, formed kind of an inverse head and shoulders here. You know, here's a shoulder over here, here's a head, here's another shoulder, here's a new high, higher low. Let me reel it back. Higher low, higher high, right? Strong buying pressure on this candlestick. Let's go to the daily. Strong move up, ripped through all of my previous levels here out of the inside bar on November 16th, right? Had that inside bar on November 16th. We see where we had the setup to go to the upside, downside, rip to the upside, pull back, found some support here, continuation move, pull back, and broke through Thursday, Wednesday's, and Monday's previous highs. And now we just got to take out Tuesday's sell pressure above 147.86. We got 155. So I think that this can see 155 this week, especially with the magnitude of this candlestick, especially with the strength in crypto at the moment. Coinbase stands to benefit from all that. If anybody bought it down here at $70, I mean, you're over 100% on your common position. But I think there's a lot more in Coinbase. I think we can get like a nice 2021 meme move out of Coinbase. So I'll be watching it much, much more closely in the next coming weeks. Next one is Snowflake. Snowflake is giving me Coinbase vibes as well, only because, as you see, very steep drop. Base, forming higher lows, going sideways a bunch, rediscovering its price. Buyers are interested in it way down here at $120. They're also interested in it at $142. We had a nice, let me just stretch this out a little bit. There. We had a nice consolidation underneath the 100-day moving average, ripped up, pulled back to the 100-day, retested all this support as all this previous resistance as future support, and then continuous move up. Strong gap up on earnings. We formed a strong inside bar, a strong bar here, indecision, and all this candlestick is within the range of this. All this price action is within the range of this one candlestick here. Snowflake broke above Thursday's high and above Wednesday's high and above the previous Friday's high, or Monday's high, and now we're retargeting the previous Thursday's high here, right? Let me just zoom back. Now, as we can see, this is an area where sellers are very active. Sellers, every time the price gets to this area, sellers like to step in and bring the price back down. So that's something to be aware of. We go ahead and mark this up. I bet you it goes even further back than that. I think 200 is also just a very strong level for Snowflake to try to break up through. Let me just zoom out. Yeah, I mean, not much, but there's definitely some supply in this area. I know 200 is a tough number to break for Snow, but if we can rip through this level here, 193.94, I think that 200 is magnetic before we fight and then kind of see what happens, right? But as you can see in the past, it'll make the move and then it'll give some back. It'll make the move and give some back. So maybe we catch it the next time it makes a move and then sell it before it gives it back. This is very, very good price action because we have the rising support level. Buyers just keep buying it up higher and higher and higher. And then we have a little bit of a wedge here. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it there. Even though we broke above this kind of, if I would have painted it on this candlestick, then we would have already broken that part. Actually, let me just do it real quick. So you can see this is a little bit more bullish than I'm giving it credit for. We did break above this falling resistance line, and we're consolidating on it and we're ripping above it, right? I'm gonna go ahead and just get a little bit less bullish and paint it right here. That way it gives us a clear target, break above that, and then we can retarget that 200 level. Then from there we got 205 for Snowflake for this week. Now, if it does, for whatever reason, break down and not, the bulls can't take over, then those are gonna be your downside targets with a nice little gap down into this doji that's there in between earnings, right? I would let the 20-day catch us as support. Now, one more thing I want to point out is that we're also getting a bullish cross on the 50-day and 100-day and 200-day. The white line is 100-day, the black line is the 200-day, and the 50 is the red line. The 50 is crossing, golden cross through the 50 to the 200-day, excuse me, and then a more minor golden cross through the 200, the 100. So, just another bullish indicator. I think that this is going to continue to the upside. I think it has a decent risk reward in both directions. All right, let's say we take the entry at the break of the high and we set I'm going to set my, and I look at these volume nodes here. So I usually use those to kind of find where my support is. If we want to play it to 200, then that gives us a 2.68 to 1 risk reward ratio. If we want to play it to 205, 205 gives us a 4.29 to 1 risk reward ratio. So pretty decent setup to the upside. Your pain tolerance will determine whether you stay at where you target 205 or 200. I think 200 is relatively painless as long as we break above that high. Now, if we break down and we set the high of day as our stop, I would really take entry at breakdown of half of Friday's price action, right? Something around there. And then I will go ahead and set my stop at, and again, this might end up being a 1-week play or 2-week play, but breakdown, we got a nice 4.78 to 1 risk reward ratio back to this doji. Or if you want to play it back to the inside bar or the outside bar, the mother bar, this mother bar here, it still gives you a 3 to 1 risk reward ratio, depending on where your entry is and where your stop is, right? But you take your entry at about 50% and say your stop at the high of day. Nice play for you there. Depending on how hard this resistance is. You see that seller stepped in and bring it back down a little bit. So either way, you got good upside or downside setup, good upside or downside risk reward. You should always aim for 3 to 1 whenever you're trading. And if you don't have 3 to 1, then you take another trade, right? Next one's Uber. Uber is, I believe Uber is joining the S&P, right? Is that right? I think they announced on like Thursday or something. Yeah, 3 days ago. Why is Uber up 20.7% since last earnings report? Not sure, but they're definitely joining S&P in the next coming weeks. Their earnings, they missed on revenue, but they beat on their earnings per share. And I'm sure they just said a bunch of things that people want to hear. I think that the Uber Eats segment is pretty active and a low cost for them, right? Because it's just software at that point, no liability, no nothing. I think the car thing is just not that easy for them, which is reflected in the way that this stock price dropped from its highs. Oh, we're right at the highs. Interesting. I thought it was much higher. All right, so we're right near all-time high for Uber at $64.05. We're right near it. I mean, so we can target it. That makes this so much easier. We can just target this this all-time high at 64.05. That'll be our first target. How do I want to do this? Let me go back. It's always tough to see where things are going to go when there's no, when you have previous targets, it's easy to kind of determine where things are going to go. But the next target for this is going to be $70 above 64.05. We got some future targets which look kind of crazy. That 120 looks insane, but it's it is what it is. It's a fib, right? And then let me just draw another fib on this from top to bottom. Yeah, so 64.05 and then 70.24. The 1618, the completion of this move brings us at 95.16. Let me change this color. So you see what's possible for Uber. That 190. Oh, that's terrible. You can't see that at all. Let me change it to black. That 95.16 is very, very feasible. I mean, this is a weekly chart that you have on your screen now. So maybe like in 28 weeks or something, half a year, or maybe even 3/4 of the year, it's very, very easy for Uber to get up to this level. As long as whatever it is that made them start this strong move continues, right? As long as they have good news, as long as maybe they got some partnerships, whatever the case is. But I do like the 1618. Ultimately, we want to hit $64.05, and especially with this S&P inclusion, that's major news, right? So you want to play the $5 up and up, right? That's it. 5 all the way to 95. $5 increments until price gets there and starts giving you behavior at certain levels. Then you say, oh, look at their support at 72.47. That's my new support level. Like whatever the case is, like just in the future, this is what you're gonna use. But then, for the most part, let price tell you where it's gonna go. The next one is, and let's just take a look at Lyft. I think Lyft is gonna benefit a little bit from this. I remember seeing this strong candlestick. So Lyft might be a good common. It's $13. Is very, very cheap. Very cheap. On the weekly, we have a nice inside resting bar, potential 3-bar play on the weekly for Lyft. And then just like strong move, nice shallow pullback, continuation move into a gap, right? We do have a nice little gap on this chart. Now, I'm not going to add this as part of the watch list only because I don't like trading stocks that are $13. I just don't like trading stocks that are $13. That's it. I like $20 and up, $30 and up, right? You just get a little bit more bang for your buck. You get more volatility. But this is good if somebody wants to buy shares and hold it for 6 months, 8 months. Go for the ride. So that's Lyft. Let me go back to the list. Visa is the next one. This is actually a very, very beautiful setup. We are sitting currently at new all-time highs, relative all-time highs. We made a new high on Monday. Sellers brought it back down, and buyers brought it right back up. Right, buyers brought it pretty much to the open of the week. Let me look at the week. Yeah, it's a doji on the week, so it's a good spot. It's a good spot for a Visa to be in, right? You got a lot of interaction with the 200-day moving average, ripped through all the moving averages. Everything's in order. The 20s above the 50s, above the 100s, above the 200, right? We ripped above this previous pivot here, and we found that we broke above previous high, bounced on it twice, and now we're working our way up into, what's going to happen up here. I think this is very bullish. I think this is extremely bullish here. You know, prices wedging a little bit. You got that, and then you got this. You got the 20-day that can act as support pretty easily, so I wouldn't really go short on this. And as far as targets, you know, break above that level. These three levels here. We got 260 above that. 260 right here. 260. Above 260, we got 265. Same thing. Play this in $5 increments. This is gonna be this. I think this can get really, really fun. Let me go ahead and run a fib. I just want to see what. Run two different fibs. Yeah. So, and let me change the color of this so we can see a little bit more clearly. I love fibs. Love me some fibs. Here's the reason why. Because you get a nice little move like that. You measure it. I'll change it to red, or I'll change it to blue, navy blue. You get a nice little fib. You run a measurement from the high here to the low. You got the level where it pulls back. You can see that it pulled back right on that 786 Fibonacci level, ripped through, came back, retested it, and then just continued back into the future target of 1618 fib at 256, and now it's consolidating at 256. Very, very interesting. Let me just run a quick trend based. That's why I say that whatever I did for Uber is not outlandish, only because these things always come to fruition. Let me go ahead and run it from the low to the high into support. You can see how it kind of price interacts with some of these levels, right? Doji here in this future, you know, and I say future, you know, this day zero is when we painted this fib here, and then day one is the first candlestick here, and then, you know, you can kind of see how it interacts with some of these levels. Resistance all up in here, support back here, and now support on this new level at 254.56, future level 258. Then we got obviously 260, just psychological level, and then 268.95 in the future. So very, very interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on the chart for Visa. Next one is Costco. Now Costco weekly. I'm just looking for a continuation move, right? We got Costco. During the weekly, it formed this massive wedge, one of the cleanest wedges I've ever seen on a weekly chart. We got this all-time high here at 612.27. I think we took it out this week, 613.61. Yep, we took it out this week. So now we're making new all-time highs. This is uncharted territory for Costco. So I think that as long as we continue to hold this level here, you know, break above this level, hold it. From there, we can target 620, 630, 640, 650. 650 can easily come in 2 weeks, right? So I'm actually looking at, you know, I was looking at the 700 calls for March, which I don't think it'll reach 700, but I think it can put in a nice, you know, 2 or 3 week move that'll give us a couple candlesticks that'll just get us closer to it and give your premium a little bit of an increase, 100%, 150%, something like that, with time, right? Let me go ahead and run a trend based on this from the low right before the breakout to the high right after the breakout to the pullback on support. And again, future, you see how it kind of reacted in the future to some of these levels on the trend based. So above this 610, we got 624.97, we'll call it 625. You know, maybe we just pay more money and buy more time on this, but I do like it for continuation to the upside. When I see strength, I want it to continue, and it's not like a parabolic move. It's been going up, pull back, go up, pull back, go up, pull back, right? Very healthy move. So I like it. I want to see it trading above that 612.27. I would take the entry at 625, or if you let these moving averages catch up, and then from there you can probably find some good prices on the 700 calls for March or even for June. I believe, and they have earnings on 12/13. Nice. Yeah. So there's a potential for, what is it? That's like 2 days, 4 days, 12/14. 4 days. So they have earnings this week. So there's a potential for a run up before earnings. So maybe we look at it tomorrow. Let me go ahead and set my alert. Set my alert right here. 613.61, high of day. Let us know when it breaks through that. Maybe we can get the 625s for this week. 625s for this week, and Yeah, go ahead and just maybe you don't want to play it, but maybe just watch the 700 and see how they move. I think they're gonna be a nice payout for somebody who plays that 700. So that's Costco. Next one is Lulu. As you know, Lulu got included in the S&P. I believe it was back here on this. This was the Friday. Yeah, that was the Friday, and this was the Monday after the inclusion. It came back and it filled the gap, and then just been on a monster tear ever since. I believe this is all time high. Yeah, yeah. Let me see. What's this? High of 485.83 and a high of 49.63. So well cleared that previous high. So that's the level we wanted to pull back to and hold. 485.83. If it does break down, I mean, I don't know if I want to short. This is strength. This is just all green days. Even on the pullbacks, it's still forming green days. So I would say 500 is next. Above that, 510, 515, 520. Very, very easy, simple. Just if it pulls back, find better longs. That's it. I wouldn't go short on this at all. This is showing absolute strength. Even ever since it gapped up on that earnings a while back, it went and gapped up, it pulled back, it filled the gap. Same thing, gapped up, pulled back. It just fills gaps, right? And then it's just been going up ever since. So I wouldn't necessarily go short unless they get some bad news. And Lulu is in seasonality right now. They're big for the winter, for gifting months, or rather for the holidays. So Lulu's in absolute strength right now, and I would not dare to go short. And they just had earnings, and they just beat their earnings. $15 million revenue beat, surprise. $15 million overestimate and 10% over earnings per share, and which caused this massive green candlestick, a white candlestick on my screen for the colorblind. And one of my best friends is colorblind. I got him into trading, and he made a bunch of money, and then he's like, all right, I can't spend all my day in front of a computer, and he just stopped. But anyway, he's colorblind. So I had to change my candlesticks to black and white for him. But yeah, pull back to this previous resistance level, find some support there, break above the volume node at 490.98. 500 is in the books. Very, very easy for Lulu, especially with that strong earnings report. We can get a nice earnings drift to the upside. So maybe we find some Lulu leaps. I just don't like buying leaps at all-time high. Right? I just don't like buying leaps at all-time high. That's what kind of steered me away from the Costco 700s. I don't like buying leaps at all-time high because you don't know if it's going to continue. It can or it can't. Who knows? I could have said easily when it broke out of this wedge that it was going to go back to its all-time high. Easily, because it's been there before. Right? So why wouldn't it go back to it? But I don't. All-time high just can be kind of scary. So, all right. The next one is CVS. Let me just take a look. I think we have we're about halfway done. All right, CVS. Is this the daily? Yes. Okay, so CVS, nice consolidation pattern, sideways price action, bunch of support sitting down here at 64 and change. It ripped through this falling resistance line. It ripped right through it earlier this week, through the 50-day, through the 100-day, through the 200-day, making all new highs on each day, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all making new higher highs and higher lows. So I just see there's a potential continuation here, right? Either that or we work our way into this previous supply right here, where sellers are pretty active. Actually, I'm going to bring this up to the top of this candlestick here. That's your supply level. It looks like there's a bunch of sell pressure there. So I would just play this right into that level, right? $77. Maybe trade the 77 calls or the 76 calls for this week. And then from there, kind of see how things develop, right? And then above that, we can really start to shake out and make some good moves at up into the $80 mark for CVS. The news is CVS stock ready for a rebound. Cigna abandons pursuit of Humana, plans $10 billion share buyback. How does this affect CBS? A merger would have combined company. A merger would have given the combined company more scale to rival bigger U.S. health. Okay, so a merger not happening between Cigna and Humana is not happening is beneficial to this because now they don't have somebody who's competing at their scale. So good for them. Not necessarily something that should move the stock, I think, in my opinion, but good for them. So yeah, I like it for continuation. If you do want to go short, obviously you just take take your entry at the low of day, and then play each previous low of day. I wouldn't go below that 200 day though. I wouldn't short underneath that 200 day personally. Next one is JPM. JPM showing absolute strength. We do have some previous levels to the upside to revisit. There's actually a bunch of gaps up there too. There's a gap right here. Go ahead and just do that properly. I just drew that all willy-nilly. Just do that properly. There. Nice gap above the high of 161.03. And then if you just look, it's just like kind of a cup and handle. We did break down below the rising support level. Let me go ahead and just do it this way. That's ugly. Let me do it this way. We did break down below this rising support level. Right, you see how just a bunch of buyers stepped in here, broke down and formed a spring on JPM, and we kind of got like a cup and handle vibe. You know, the top of the cup being way over here, and then we got the handle forming right here. Continuation move to the upside. So I like it. I think again that we got that bullish pattern on strat. We got that. We got that engulfing. So first of all, strong move to the upside, breaking through all moving averages. And then we got a little bit of a consolidation, continuation, which means bulls are still in control, right? So let's just keep that context in mind. Now we got a bearish engulfing candlestick, strong move to undo the range of the previous day's candle. Then we got the inside bar, then we got the up bar, right? So again, three very bullish pattern right here. Engulfing down, inside bar, and then two up bar, right? Breaking the range of the previous bar to the upside. Now, if this were in reverse, it's the same thing, right? It will be a strong continuation pattern, right? It will be that big bar, inside bar up, right? So this brings the direction down, and then this is reversing back to the upside. So I love this pattern here, especially when it shows up on the smaller time frames. But when it shows up on a daily, it's very powerful. When it shows up on a weekly, it's extremely powerful. But I like it. I want to target, take the day high, retest previous high. From there, we can get 160 and change. Let's just call it 160. The 160s might be in play for this week. Well, 160 is definitely in play for this week. And then we got 165 or 162.50. I don't know if this trades in increments of $2.50 or not. It might just still be dollar increments. You know, so whatever. Let me check actually. I haven't played JPM in such a long time. I don't want to give you the wrong information. But all that to say that this is just very, very strong, very bullish. Let's see, JP Morgan, JPM, not 250, is it? Options. Yeah, it's dollar increments. Oh, it is 250s. Okay, it is 250s. Okay, so we got the 160s, we got the 160 250s. That takes. It's important to know that because, you know, when you're trading like Gex and Gamma style trading, which low key I am all the time. Some of these strikes become magnetic. You know, as you guys may or may not know. Most of the time, obviously, the stock price moves the option price, but sometimes the option price will move the stock price. You know, that happens a lot on like Tesla. It happens a lot on SPX, a whole lot on SPX, right? On SPY and QQQ. It happens a little bit on Apple here and there, not often, but here and there it does happen. So I like to keep, you know, I just play the strikes. Just play the strikes. Don't even go crazy. The 165 might be in play for this week. depending on how bullish it is this week. So we'll see. If you wanted to go short JPM, I would just break the low of Friday, trade into the low of Thursday, and then I would probably bring it back into like this level here, 155, 154, 155 ish. You see where this supported, all this resistance is. I would just trade it back into that level. I wouldn't go below that. I wouldn't go below that level. So next one is Tesla. Speaking of double, Tesla I think is ready for an upside move. It's been looking not so good for a little while. If you look at the 2-day, it looks a little bit better actually. Is it the 2-day or the 3-day? Yeah, there you go, 3-day. Looks a little bit better. The reason why I like it, flatten that a little bit. You gotta sometimes squint your eyes to make these things make sense. But this is a triple tap on a falling resistance line. We did form a new low here, right? But we still maintain a higher low from back here, April's low. And we got that consolidation on the 50-day moving average, right at the 100-day moving average, right at the previous, the falling resistance line. So Tesla makes a lot of sense here, especially with this nice little box that it formed here these past couple of weeks. It's been holding that support level for that to the side, and I'll change the color to a light gray. It's been holding this level for a couple of weeks now, and it's been the one that's out of most of the tech names. Tech has been relatively bullish, and Tesla's been kind of just chilling. Tesla does its own thing, and now it looks like it might be time for it to finally rip through that 100-day moving average. Rip, right? I'm talking rip. Like, what Tesla does, especially around this time of year, Tesla gets active. So, you guys know I'm a shareholder of Tesla, but I like to trade it more than I like to hold it, to be honest with you. And I'm just looking forward to some good price action coming out of Tesla this next couple of weeks, and into the beginning of January. They have earnings in the middle of January or the end of January, January 24th. So it's probably too early to see an earnings run up. But I bet if we get a nice strong move, then there will be something, strong move, strong break out of this, hit that 268, and then take out that 278, fill this little gap right here. And then we got that 299. At 299, this thing can really get really, really, really staticky, right? Really exciting. Revisit some of these levels at 382, insane. 400, insane, right? So looking forward to it for Tesla. The next one is, what's this? Twilio. I like Twilio because it finally ripped through this previous supply level that I had labeled here on my chart. And we ripped through this pivot here at 69.69. We still have to take over this high where these sellers are at 71.24 before we can touch 72.07, 74.10, 76.21. So it's just well on its way. Good consolidated move here, right? Consolidation, rip, pullback. Previous resistance became support on the 786 fib, especially. Continuation move. Nice confluence. Nice move, right? We got the 50 pointing up. Once that 50 goes to that 100-day and that 200-day, we got some algorithmic buying pressure that will start to kind of set in. And we have earnings in a couple months, so too early for any of that. Let's see if there's anything in the news. Yeah, I mean, it's just bullish. Wells Fargo price target increase 10 points. So just bullish, just all bullish news for now. But it looks very nice to me. I think it's going to continue. Carvana. The reason why I like Carvana is because nice strong move to the upside, double top, brought it way back down, but then we formed a higher low, right? We got all these lows over here, this one specifically, and now we have this second higher low. We broke this one, but we have this low here. We broke down and buyers still brought it up and gapped it up. Created a new higher low, continued, new higher low. Now we're making new highs. Does this count as a low? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see, right? But for now, yeah, we'll see. I do like that it's above the 100-day moving average. I like that we had a strong sell pressure day. Next day, we kind of held up. And then the next day, we brought it right back up and ripped above the previous range. So it's just very bullish, right? Some of these patterns, like people make fun of these patterns and all their names. But what they don't realize is that it's just a way to identify bullish patterns. When the stock price goes down and then buyers bring it back up, that's bullish. Right? When the stock price reaches a higher low, that's bullish. Right? So some of these weird names that people give are just ways for them to identify some of these bullish patterns. When you see a bull flag, buy cycle, price went way up. Sell cycle, price only went a little bit down. It's bullish, right? Sellers can bring it all the way down. It's very bullish. So I see 42.12, 42.84, 44.50, and then 45 whatever, and then 46, right? I think above this 44.50, we get 46 immediately, and then we got some of these previous levels to tackle. But I think this is just a very bullish setup in my opinion. So I'll be watching it for this week. I'm actually going to go ahead and set my alert. Monday mornings are like alert day. Alert day. All right. Next one is, we have just a couple more. DocuSign. DocuSign is currently sitting at the 200-day moving average. I just want to see a rip above the 200-day moving average. Rip above day high. Target 53.12. 53.36 rather is a better one. 53.36. Above this 50.98, right? So day high, 50.98, and then 53.36 for DocuSign. Now, if it doesn't break up above that level, at around 50% of this candlestick, I draw my fib and I go ahead and just match my price to wherever that 50% is. It's 47.42. So underneath 47.42, it will probably go ahead and target the low of day if price gets there. And then so from there, we can play it down to 45. It'll give you a nice $2 move to the downside if there's volatility. Otherwise, give yourself like a nice $45 mark. Maybe you could day trade it or trade it for the week. With a positive earnings report such as this, I think that it continues to move to the upside. So break the 200, break the high of day, break this previous support level at $51. $54 is the mark. So maybe we can play the 55 call. I would take a look at the 55 call for this week and for next week and see which one has more volume. And just play that. Next one is Etsy. Etsy is like the first one I think I looked on my chart today. Etsy just to me is very bullish. Strong move down, strong move up, bullish, right? Bull flag. A little bit of a deeper retracement than I like, but we got kind of a doji here and we broke the range to the upside. So there's a potential for this to retest. This is like a kind of a pivot machine gun. This can rip through and go back to the 200-day moving average. So that's all I want. I don't want any more out of it. I'm not expecting much more out of Etsy. Just test the 200-day moving average this week. If we get the pivot machine gun, there's a little bit of a gap here to fill. Right here, little gap. Little gap to fill if we do get above the 200-day moving average. So, and then if we fill this gap, we got the $100 mark right there, which is a magnet. So that's what I'll be watching for Etsy. It looks interesting. Etsy's like one of those tickers that I didn't trade before when I was, back when it was in its prime, because it was like, I just think the premiums were way too expensive, especially when it was up here. It was just too expensive for me to trade. Now I think it's priced pretty well. I think the premiums are priced pretty well. You can get nice volatile moves out of Etsy. What day was this? This was last Friday. We got a nice $7 day out of Etsy. So it does make nice moves if you catch it on the right day. So I think we have two more. Let's take a look. Three more. This is four more. So Hilton, good consolidation, nice breakout, small pullback, potential continuation. That's it. Nice and simple. I believe Hilton is sitting around its all-time high. Let me just go ahead and it's sitting at right around its all-time high. So nice strong move above that 172.40, 174.10, then we got 175, then we got 180 for Hilton. You want to trade it down, trade it back to the 20-day moving average, or you can trade the pivot machine gun to the downside for the week's price, right? We got Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Monday's up here, so we're not gonna count it. But I like it better to the upside than the downside. Next one is Macy's. Macy's, same thing, and kind of make a consolidation on the 200-day moving average. Continue rip through potential. Here's a 3-bar play that shook out and pulled back, found some support, and now it's working its way back up. Macy's, I don't like trading companies that are trading at such a low price, but Macy's has good volatility in its options pricing for some reason. It never made sense to me, but I do like to trade it. You want to make sure you play on days that it makes strong moves. And I think there's a strong move brewing above that $17.69 mark, above $18 for sure. So I like it. We'll keep our eye on it. Next one is Pinterest. Pinterest worked its way all the way up the ladder to make a new high for the year. I believe, there's way more highs above this, but I like the continuation. I want to see it above 35. Above 35, we got 37, then we got 39 for Pinterest. So nice and simple. Last one is RCL. RCL strong, good consolidation, strong move to the upside. Bunch of sell pressure, but right back down to the 200-day moving average. Good consolidation at the 200, strong move to the upside, bull flag, breakout, little chop, continuation move, making all new highs. Is this all-time high? No, it's not. Okay, good. So we got above 120.47, we got 124. Above 124, we got 128. And this is like a move that, these things are relatively cheap. You could go ahead and put time on it. If you look at February calls, February 130 calls that are priced relatively cheap. Let me just go ahead and take a look at it. And I bet you they actually have a lot of volume in OI as well. Let's see. RCL, February 16 is OPEX. The 125 calls are $6.45. The 130 calls are $4.55. $4.55. Let me go ahead and add my open interest and volume. February 130 calls have, there's not much. So there's 5 contracts were traded on Friday. 497 contracts are open right now. That's the highest in the chain, except for the ones that are super in the money. But the $100 one in the money are pretty high, but that one's the second highest. So very interesting. So that is it for me tonight. Thank you for being on this call. We got it done in about an hour. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. I will be trading tomorrow morning, and then I will be traveling to the West Coast. So I'm hoping to get my schedule dialed in enough to trade as well while on the West Coast. But I do not want to make any promises. Usually when I travel out West, I get my schedule pretty cooked. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys for being on this call. Appreciate you as always. And make sure that you are not getting stuck in this week's volatility trap. PPI, CPI, J Powell, rate hike, all kinds of stuff, jobs numbers. Lots of volatility this week. So just be careful out there. Be safe. Thank you guys. Have a good night.